getting the game underway. So national anthem is over. So
kind of a sparse crowd out here today, Brian. Denver North looks like they have 30 people, and Fort Morgan faithful, maybe about 40 people down for the trip. Hopefully more people will show up as the game proceeds, but unfortunately in some of these inner city schools, that's the way it is, that they just don't have the fan following. You know, the game is all the way on the south end of Denver by DU, and of course this is Denver North, which is the area of Denver that borders with the Denver Boulder Turnpike on the north end, for those of you who are familiar with the Denver metro area. We talked before about Denver North having a freshman quarterback. He's really quite a player. He's 16th in passing in 3A state, and is also up there in running. And they also have a kid, Daniel Ramirez, that's 13th in rushing. Receiver who's 22nd in receiving in the state. So I think Fort Morgan's going to have to play some defense tonight, or this afternoon. So,
yeah, Eric Kimball getting the okay to get the kickoff, get the game underway. Approaches kick, and it's down about the 20, takes a bounce, and it ends up going out of bounds. So that will give Denver North the ball at the 35-yard line to start the game. So Denver North starting with a freshman quarterback. We'll have to keep him in check. He does like to run the ball and does have some success throwing the ball also. So his name is Santiago Marin. He leads them up to the line to have I formation, 2 receivers, right, 1 left. Takes the snap, hands off to his far back, and he is tripped down and loses a yard at the 34-yard line. So that'll make it 2nd and 11 from the 34.
All right. That was number 30. I don't see him on their roster at all.
Maybe they've moved somebody up from the JV team or something. 2nd and 11 from the 34. 4 North, 2 receivers left, 2 receivers right with a single back. Takes the handoff and gets to the 37-yard line for a gain of 3. So that'll make it 3rd and 8 from the 37-yard line for Denver North.
Yeah, that one time it was number 20 on the run. Escobedo, I believe. And so they're mixing us up and putting some kids in that we had scouted.
So Denver North to the line, 3 receivers left, 1 right. Marin back to pass, throws, and it is incomplete out about the 43-yard line. So I'll bring up 4th and 8 for Denver North. Fort Morgan should get some fairly decent field position out of this.
They do have the wind at their back, so whatever punting in the first quarter is going to definitely benefit Fort Morgan.
Nate Alexander is deep. He is at the 29-yard line. Denver North is lined up to punt the ball. Snap back. And it's a punt, and it will bounce past about the 38 and rolls inside the 30, inside the 25. And it finally comes to a halt at the 21-yard line for Fort Morgan. Fort Morgan will take over 1st and 10 from the 21. With 10:39 left in the first period, no score yet.
Yeah, you can see the wind kind of catch that punt and knock it down, but then Denver North got a good bounce on it.
So it'll be 1st and 10, Fort Morgan from the 21. James Martin's up to the line, Fort Morgan in their flex formation. Martin's looking the defense over. Takes the snap, puts a man in motion, takes the snap, hands off over the left side to Jared Bohm. He gets out to the 24-yard line, so that'll be a gain of 3. That'll be 2nd and 7 from the 24.
Fort Morgan staying with its traditional power running game to start off, and if they can keep that up, I think that'll bode well for the Mustangs this afternoon.
Fort Morgan back in their flex formation, receivers left and right. Jared Bohm in the backfield. Martin's under center. Takes a snap, hands off to Jared Bohm up the middle, and he has a first down clear out to the 37-yard line. So it'll be 1st and 10 Fort Morgan from the 37.
That was a really nice run. He came through the hole, and he was leaning so far forward like he was expecting to hit. Didn't hit anyone. The line really opened up a hole, and so he almost stumbled over his own feet down there after a nice 13-yard gain.
So Fort Morgan 1st and 10 from the 37. In the flex formation, receivers left and right. Handoff, no, he's the keeper over the left side. Martins gets out to just about the 42-yard line. So that's a gain of about 5. So it'll be 2nd and 5 from the 47.
Yeah, he handed off, and they had the linebacker sent right into the hole. And Martins did a good job of pulling the ball out and hauling Bohm up the hole, up the field.
Martin's under center. Cody Davis in motion left, gets the pitch left, takes it upfield to the 45, to the 50, 45-40, 35-30, 25-20, 15-10, 5, touchdown, Fort Morgan. Cody Davis takes it 57 yards for the touchdown to put Fort Morgan up 6-0 with 9:06 left in the first period.
Boy, he just went outside. And North kind of expecting Fort Morgan to stay on the inside. Everybody got, sucked inside on that play. And looks like maybe today Cody Davis is going to be the man like he was last week, starting off with the first score, and that was a really nice run.
Yeah, he got outside there, and nobody was going to catch him. Lining up for the extra point, Jacob Frick with Martin's holding. Wait for the snap is back, hold, it is down, and the kick is good. So that makes it Fort Morgan 7, North nothing, with 9:06 left in the first period. You're listening to Fort Morgan Mustangs football on B106 and B106.com. Welcome back to All City Stadium in Denver. Fort Morgan 7, North 0 with 9:06 left in the first period. But the opening kickoff was brought to you by Ingmar Phillips Insurance. With 2 locations in Brush and Fort Morgan, Ingmar Phillips can help you with your home, car, health, or life insurance questions or needs. So Eric Kimball gets the go-ahead for the kickoff. He gets his foot into it, and it is coming down at the 11-yard line, up to the 15, to the 20, 25, to the 30, out to the 30, to the 33-yard line for Denver North.
We'll see whether Fort Morgan's defense is good the second drive. First drive, they were able to get 2 yards on offense and had to punt.
So Denver North down 7-0. Clad in their all-purple, looks like the Minnesota Vikings out here today. Santiago Marin is a quarterback under center, puts a man in motion, takes the ball, and pitches out to the left. The man takes it in. He is driven out of bounds at about the 37-yard line. There's a flag on the play.
I thought they were going to call. There was a huge crackback block, and then Fort Morgan defender got hammered by the wide receiver who was coming in, but they got a hold right next to it. So I guess that crackback block is legal in high school.
Yeah, it was a good block. It took the Fort Morgan defender out, that's for sure. So that will make it now first down from the 22, Fort North.
21 yards to go. It was a well-conceived play. Fort Morgan did defend it well.
So North in a triple, we have a stoppage of play. Referee calls timeout. We'll see what they're discussing here. Something with a clock, something with a time on the clock, so I'm not sure what they were doing there. But first down for Denver North. Marin under center, takes the ball, hands off, and he is met hard and taken down. That is a loss of 5 back to the 17-yard line.
And we have a penalty flag thrown after the play off on the far side of the field. Two players were kind of getting after it with each other.
So we'll see what they're... Fort Morgan, they're talking it over with the referees, still trying to figure out what they're... I don't know if it was a call a foul on both teams, or they see the second guy retaliate, or what the flag is going to be. The umpire, personal foul on North, personal foul on Fort Morgan, penalties offset. So that will make it second down. So that makes it about second and 26. They're marking it at the 19-yard line for North.
Officials trying to establish that we're going to have a clean game today.
So Marin under center, single back, pitches to the right. His back takes it out to the, he is down at the 23-yard line. That's a gain of about 4. So I'll bring up third and about 20 for Denver North.
That was Freeland, number 4 on the carry. Kind of a shifty little runner.
So Fort Morgan not giving North any room at all to run. Shutting that down pretty good. We'll see if North decides to come out and try to pass a little bit. They are setting up 2 receivers left and 2 receivers right with a single back in the backfield. Marin looking to play over, does he hands off up the middle. He is brought down at about the 26-yard line. So I'll bring up fourth down for Denver North. So Fort Morgan has held for a second time here. So that'll be 4th and 15 from the 26-yard line.
We don't have a name on number 30.
Punt. Not a real high punt. Lands about the 48 and takes a roll for Denver North down to the 38-yard line. So it'll be 1st and 10 for Fort Morgan from the 38-yard line. Valley View Villa, look to the team at Valley View for rehab, short-term, or long-term care needs. Stop by 815 Fremont or call them today, 867-8261. B&B Appliance. B&B Appliance at 502 Instant in Fort Morgan can help you save water, energy, and the environment without sacrificing quality and performance. Change for the better with B&B Appliance. 1st and 10, Fort Morgan, ball on the 39-yard line. In their flex formation. Hands off up the middle to Jared Bohm again. And he is out to the 47-yard line. So that brings up 2nd and 1 from the 47 for Fort Morgan.
Nice run by all the entire offensive line, just moving the line of scrimmage down the field. In fact, Denver North in what appears to be a 5-3 defense had all 3 of their linebackers blitzing on that one. Still couldn't stop the run.
So 2nd down for Fort Morgan in their flex. Nate Alexander in motion. It's pitched to Nate Alexander around the right side at the 45 to the 50, and he is driven out of bounds at the North 46-yard line. So that'll make it a 1st down for Fort Morgan at the North 46-yard line.
Alexander's first carry of the night, or the day. These day games are really going to mess with me.
So 1st down for Fort Morgan from the 46-yard line. Set in their flex formation. Jared Bohm in the backfield. Martins takes the handoff and gives it to Jared Bohm up the middle, and he is still rumbling, and he is down to the 34-yard line before he is brought down. So it'll be 1st and 10 Fort Morgan from the 34.
I think North is just a little bit outmanned size-wise up front. They're playing a 3-man front and trying to stunt with the linebackers, and Fort Morgan's line is just opening up huge holes.
So Fort Morgan in their flex formation again. Cody Davis in motion to the left and gets the pitch left. He is hit in the backfield, and he does get back. He got back to the 35, but they're saying he wasn't down, and he fumbled the ball. So it will be Denver North ball at the 31-yard line.
But unfortunately for Cody, he made that last effort, and the defender came in and dislodged the football right as he was going down.
So 1st and 10 for Denver North at the 34-yard line with 5:41 left in the first period. 7-0 Fort Morgan. So Santiago Marin leads the Vikings up to the line of scrimmage. Single back. 3 receivers left, 1 receiver right. Takes the snap, hands it off to the back up the middle. He's out to the 40, to the 45, and brought down at just outside the 45 of Denver North.
That was a nice run by 28. Escobedo. He's one of their leaders on the ground.
So 1st and 10 for Denver North at the 45-yard line. 3 receivers left, 1 receiver right, single back. Now they're moving them in. They have 2 in the backfield now. Handoff up the middle. He gets a gain of maybe 1 up to the 46-yard line. So we'll call it 2nd and 9 from the 46. So there's not much room there for Denver North right now to be running up the middle. So North coming up to the line. 2 receivers to the left. High backfield. Takes the snap, looks to throw. He was rushed. It was thrown and caught over the middle at the 40. And he is down to the 23-yard line for Denver North. That would be Gabriel Ubias. That's a 1st and 10 for North from the 23-yard line.
That was a really nice pass play. And he was wide open downfield. I think the Mustangs are going to have to play a little tighter defense.
So Denver North up to the line. 1 receiver right, 2 left, 3 left actually. Single back, handoff up the middle. He is stuck at the 20-yard line. The ball came loose, but they're saying he was down at the 20. So that'll be 2nd and 6 for Denver North from the 20.
It was kind of looked like they were going to throw again and then ran a draw.
So Marin up to bringing the Vikings up to the line of scrimmage. 1 receiver left. Full house backfield, 3 backs in the backfield. Takes the handoff and running left down to the 20, and that's about as far as he's going to get. So there is no gain on the play. So I'll bring up 3rd and 7 from the 20-yard line.
That was number 4, Freeland on the run.
So 3rd and 7 for Denver North at the 20. 1 receiver left. Full house backfield. Takes the snap, hands off. Didn't hand off. It was just pass to the end zone, and it was broken up down at the goal line. They're going to call pass interference on Fort Morgan, it looks like. Looked like a pretty good defensive try by, I'm not sure if it was Cody Davis, whoever it was back there, but they're going to call throw a flag on that play.
You know, might have got there just a tad bit early. The official was behind him and probably didn't have the perspective to see whether he made contact first or not. Just saw him going up for it. Regardless, Denver North's going to get a first down down close to the Denver or goal line.
Just outside the 10. They're going to call it 1st and goal from the 10 for Denver North. Tight formation, single back. It's pitched to the left. And the runner is run out about the 10, but there is a flag in the backfield. Looks like they'll call holding on Denver North out on the left end.
Well, it was a kind of clean game. It's turned into a little bit of sloppy play on both sides, and Fort Morgan's got to be careful here that they don't let North get back in after dominating in the first 3 drives.
So that's he's out at the first and goal from the 24. We have timeout, Denver North. So with 2:51 left in the first period, Fort Morgan 7, Denver North 0. You're listening to Fort Morgan Mustangs football on B106 and B106.com. Welcome back to All City Stadium in Denver with Kevin Rohde. I'm Brian Nickel. Fort Morgan up 7-0 over Denver North with 2:51 left in the first period. Denver North has its first and goal from the 24-yard line. So Marin is in the shotgun position. Snap back. He's being rushed and thrown and hit. And he has caught it at the 5 and run in for a touchdown for Denver North. That was Gabriel Ubias. We got the touchdown. So that makes it 7-6 Fort Morgan with 2:44 left in the first period.
Yeah, Brian, that was kind of a indication that Fort Morgan's going to have to figure out. I think North's going to pass the rest of the way. And he's got a little bit of a strange delivery, the way he throws the ball over the top, but he's accurate, and his receivers run hard, and that was a nice touchdown play.
So Denver North lining up for the extra point. Number 35, Victor Gonzalez. Kick is up, and it is no good off to the left. That makes it Fort Morgan 7, Denver North 6, with 2:44 left in the first period. You're listening to Fort Morgan Mustangs football on B106 and B106.com. Back at All City Stadium in Denver, Kevin Rohde, I'm Brian Nickel. Fort Morgan 7, Denver North 6, with 2:44 left in the first period. Denver North just scored, had a 66-yard drive with about 8 plays. Got them on the board. So Denver North is ready to kick off, and he gets his foot into it and is down to the 25, to the 30, 35, 40, 45, out to the 46, or out to the 47-yard line. And that was Alexander Perez for Fort Morgan. We have penalty flags on the field. And we'll see what that is all about. It's an illegal block in the back, or we'll see what. Holding on Fort Morgan. So that'll make it first down Fort Morgan from about the, let's see where they put it down at the, welcome back to All City Stadium in Denver, where the Fort Morgan Mustangs and the Denver North Vikings are battling out this afternoon under a clear blue sky. Fort Morgan is up 7-6 at the start of the second period, and it is a 1st and 10 for Fort Morgan from the 35-yard line.
A little bit bigger crowd trickling in now. Denver North probably with about 50, 60 people, and Fort Morgan maybe up as far as 40. They probably just couldn't find the field, Brian.
Yeah. So James Martin's under center, hands it off up the middle to Jared Bowman. He is rumbling down the field, and he is down to the 22-yard line for another first down for Fort Morgan. So Jared Bowman is making headway today.
No disrespect for Martin's passing, but if Fort Morgan can go the game without having to pass and can make it on running, that's definitely going to be a good sign for Fort Morgan.
James Martin gets the play from the coaches on the sideline and leads the Mustangs up to the line in their flex formation. 1st and 10 from the 22 for Fort Morgan. Martins takes the ball, hands off up the middle, and Jared Boehm is met in the backfield. Has a loss back to about the 23-yard line. So it'll be 2nd and 11 from the 23.
North's defensive tackle, number 75, Antonio Gonzalez, lined up in a kind of a eagle formation and then shifted in and shot right through the gap and caught him in the backfield.
Nate Alexander in motion. Martins takes the snap and runs around the right end, and he is finally brought down at the 10. So that'll be a first down for Fort Morgan at the 10. So it'll be 1st and goal, Fort Morgan from the 10-yard line.
That last play by Dame where he was stopped for loss was the first negative play. First play for a loss for Fort Morgan.
So Fort Morgan on a drive here, trying to punch this into the end zone to increase this lead. Fort Morgan in their flex formation. Jared Boehm in the backfield. Martins under center. Cody Davis in motion to the left. Handoff up the middle to Jared Boehm. And he is down to just, we'll call it the 5-yard line. So it'll be 2nd goal from the 5.
They just don't have an answer for Fort Morgan's power running. If it's not Dame, it's or Boehm, it's Marin keeping it, and then once in a while running around the outside.
So 2nd and goal from the 5 for Fort Morgan. 9:50 and counting in the second quarter. Fort Morgan up 7-6. Threatening to score here. Have a full house backfield, tight formation. Martin's under center. Hands off to Nate Alexander over the right side, and he looks like he is in the end zone for a touchdown for Fort Morgan. Nate Alexander from 5 yards out. 9:35 left in the first period. 13-6, Fort Morgan.
That was really nice. Just student body right. 2 blockers leading the way, and the hole opened up, and he just ran to the corner.
So Jacob Frickin tried the extra point. Getting lined up here, looking it over. Jacob Frick. Martins with a hold. Frick kicked down, up, and it is good for Fort Morgan. So that makes it 14-6. Fort Morgan over Denver North with 9:35 left in the second period. You're listening to Fort Morgan Mustangs football on B106 and B106.com. Welcome back to All City Stadium in Denver, where Fort Morgan has just scored with 9:35 left in the second period. Fort Morgan now leading Denver North 14-6. Eric Kimball has the ball on the tee, waiting for the okay from the referee, getting everybody set in place. There's the whistle. Eric Kimball up to the ball. Nice kick. Coming down at the 11 to the 15 to the 20, 25, 30. It bumps out at about the 33-yard line. So it'll be 1st and 10 for Denver North at the 33-yard line.
Guess the question we'll see answered here is, will North continue to throw, and will Fort Morgan continue to have a forced defensive backfield?
So hopefully they can close in on those receivers a little bit and stop that passing attack from Denver North. So it'll be 1st and 10 from the 33 for North. 2 receivers left, 1 receiver right with the back, single back, and now they've timeout Denver North. So with 9:28 left in the second quarter, Fort Morgan leading Denver North 14-6. You're listening to Fort Morgan Mustangs football on B106 and B106.com. With Kevin Rody, I'm Brian Nickel at All City Stadium in Denver, where the Fort Morgan Mustangs lead Denver North 14-6 with 9:28 left in the second period. 1st and 10 for North at the 28, at the 33-yard line. So Denver North, 3 receivers left, 1 receiver right. Marin is in the shotgun formation, takes the snap, throws left out into the flat, down to the 35, to the 40. That's a gain of about 7 yards, so it'll be 2nd and 3 from the 40.
It's a nice quick pass. like kind of a wide receiver screen. The other receiver blocked downfield for him, did a good job of blocking.
So Denver North, 2nd and 3 from the 40. And now they are winding the clock. I did a stop there. They got it running again. So Denver North, 2 receivers right, 1 receiver left, I formation. Marion under center takes the snap, hands off to his back, up the middle, and he is met by about 3 Mustangs just over the 40-yard line. So that's about a half a yard gain. So it's still about 3rd and 3 from just outside the 40-yard line.
Yeah, I think the only reason they're running is to keep the defense somewhat honest and off of Merritt.
So Denver North, 2 receivers left, 1 receiver right. They're moving 1 receiver now to the left. So they have 3 receivers left, 2 receivers right. Marin in the shotgun formation, takes the snap, looks downfield, and is thrown out to the left at the 40 and is caught at about the 45 and then brought down at the 46. So that will give Denver North a first down from the 46-yard line.
That was a nice throw. Excuse me.
So Marin seems to be the lead attack here with Denver North. Everything revolves around him pretty much. So Denver North up to the line, takes the ball, hands off up the middle, and there's a gain out to the 48-yard line. So it'll make it second and 8 from the 48.
It was just a little power running. Fort Morgan up to the task, holding to a gain of only 2 yards.
Fort Morgan tough up the middle on the run right now. So Denver North, 2 receivers right, high backfield, takes the handoff, but did not take the handoff. It's a play downfield and broken up at the 35-yard line. Nice defense there by Ulysses Hernandez at the 35 to knock it out of the hands of their receiver Freeland for Denver North.
Yeah, he floated it out there a little bit. Fort Morgan's going to have to figure out how to get a little more pressure on Marin if they're going to be able to keep them from marching down the field.
So 3rd and 8 for Denver North at the 48-yard line. Coming out in a I formation, 2 receivers to the right. Clemon takes the snap, throws it to the right side, and it is incomplete. It was a kind of a quick pass out to the right, down to about the 42 of Fort Morgan, but it was an incomplete pass. So that brings up 4th and 8 from the 48 for Denver North.
Yeah, I think their coach is up in the box who've been looking at this. There was, the way Fort Morgan's lining up on defense, the widest man is being covered up on the line of scrimmage, and the next guy in doesn't have any coverage for about 15 yards. And if they figure out that quick slant to the inside receiver, they're going to be getting about 15 yards each play.
So Denver North on 4th down punts the ball, and it is down at the 5-yard line. So it'll be 1st and 10, Fort Morgan from the 5. Numbers from our sponsors here. Tia Charlie's, located at 700 West Platte Avenue in Fort Morgan, will not be beat by anyone when it comes to price. They'll help you find a car that fits your needs and budget. If you don't see what you want, Tia Charlie's will find it for you. Log on to TioCharliesFTM.com to view inventory, current specials, and apply for a loan online. Drive away with confidence at Tia Charlie's.
Fort Morgan's pinned down at their 5-yard line. Only need a nice long 95-yard drive that eats up the last 6.5 minutes of the half.
So Fort Morgan from the 5, full house backfield, handoff to Nate Alexander over the right side. He's down to the 20, 25, 30, out to the 35. And he is out to about the 35-yard line. There has been a flag thrown behind the play. So we'll see what they're calling a personal foul on Fort Morgan.
I didn't see that, but it was way over on the sideline.
It was way after the play, and they were out of bounds. Looked like they were wrestling, I guess. So that'll make it half the distance to the goal. So it will be first down Fort Morgan from about the 2.5-yard line.
So 2 penalties on that. Looked like there was a hold and a personal foul.
There. So actually it's first down from just inside the 5-yard line. Basically still first and 11 Fort Morgan. Hand off to Jared Bohm over the right side. Not much there. He's out to about the maybe the 6-yard line. So we'll call it 2nd and 9 from the 6.
They have the wind in their face, so it's going to prevent them from getting much yards on a punt. They really need to get out of this hole.
So 2nd and 9 from the 6 for Fort Morgan in their power formation. Martin's under center. Takes the ball. Hands off to the right side to Nate Alexander, out to the 15. He is out to the 16-yard line, so that will be enough for a Fort Morgan first down. So it'll be 1st and 10 Fort Morgan from the 17-yard line.
That run right off tackle with Alexander being led upfield by 2 blockers is really working for Fort Morgan today.
So 5:46 and counting left in the second period. Fort Morgan 14, Denver North 6. Fort Morgan first and 10 from the 17-yard line. Fort Morgan in their power formation. Nate Alexander is the deep back. Cody Martins takes it, hands off to Martins around the right side. He's out to the 20, about the 22-yard line. So that's a gain of 5, so it'll be 2nd and 5, Fort Morgan from the 22.
In that same play, except to the left side, or to the right side that time. Nice run.
So Fort Morgan getting themselves out of somewhat of a hole here where they started at the 5. They are now out to the 22-yard line, I'm sorry. So it'll be 2nd and 5 from the 22 for Fort Morgan. In their power eye, Nate Alexander is a deep back. Handoff this time to Cody Davis. He is hit hard at the 20, so he's going to have a loss of about 2. So it's going to be 3rd and 7 from the 20-yard line for Fort Morgan.
Vikings had that one scouted out and had about 4 players there to meet Cody just as he made the corner.
So 3rd and 7 from the 20 for Fort Morgan. Coming out in their flex formation this time where their receivers left and right. Jared Bohm in the backfield. Martins takes it, looking downfield, and it is incomplete out about the 40-yard line. They'll bring up 4th and 7 for Fort Morgan.
He tried to thread that one right between a couple defenders, and the free safety came up and almost picked that off. That was somewhat of an ill-advised pass, I would say. But regardless, it brings up 4th down, and Fort Morgan's going to have to punt into the wind.
So 4th and 7 from the 20 for Fort Morgan. Denver North has 2 receivers back in about the 45-yard line to receive this punt. Tony Smutsy stands at the 5, ready to receive the ball. Takes it. Has a nice line drive kick. Lands about the 40, and it is down by Fort Morgan at the 46. So it'll be 1st and 10 for Denver North at the 46-yard line.
Yeah, the wind knocked that down just like it was knocking down Denver North's punts in the first quarter. Leipzig wasn't pressured at all, had plenty of time, had a nice punt out of there.
So Denver North with 1st and 10 from the 46. In the shotgun formation, 2 receivers left, 2 backs in the backfield. Takes it, throws it back to the 40, and he is down at the 45, so that's a loss of 1, maybe just inside the 45. So that'll make it about second and 11 from the 45.
That was one of the stranger plays I saw. They had both backs stay back, and it looked like they were going max protection. No receivers went downfield, and he just threw to the wide receiver who stepped back about 5 yards. And he was lucky to get back to only a 1 yard loss because the defender had him, dead to rights at about 6 yard loss.
So Denver North in the shotgun, takes the ball, hands off to the left, and he is hit in the backfield. He is hit at the 40. We'll see what they give him forward progress. So he will be down at the 40-yard line. So that's a loss of about 5 yards. So that's going to bring up 3rd and 15 from the 40.
That was Ramirez's 4th carry, 2 of them for a loss. He's actually averaging a loss. Denver North's running game just not able to compete with Fort Morgan's bigger defensive line.
So 3rd and 15 from the 40. 3 receivers right, 2 receivers left. Empty backfield. Barron in the shotgun formation. Takes the snap and is looking downfield. No pressure. And the man is called also hit and intercepted. Fort Morgan intercepted the ball at the 45. The Denver North receiver had it and was hit hard. The ball came loose and intercepted by Fort Morgan. So it'll be 1st and 10 Fort Morgan from their own 45.
That was a great defensive play there. As you said, he timed it just perfectly, came up on the receiver right as he caught it and laid a hit on him. And the ball popped up and Fort Morgan, another defender, jumped on it and got the interception.
So 1st and 10 Fort Morgan from the 45. In the flex formation, Cody Davis hands off up the middle to Jared Bohm. So it's going to be a gain out to the 50. So it'll be 2nd and 5 from the 50 for Fort Morgan.
It's a minute 54, the clock running. Fort Morgan, if they want to score, is going to have to speed things up a little bit here.
So 2nd down, Fort Morgan in their flex formation. Receivers left and right. Jared Bohm in the backfield. Cody Davis in motion to the left. Jared Bohm takes it up the middle, and he is down to the 37-yard line for Fort Morgan. So that'll be 1st and 10, Fort Morgan from the 37.
Bohm picking up 13 yards on his 13th carry of the afternoon.
So 1st and 10, Fort Morgan from the 37, with a minute 23 left in the first half. Nate Alexander in motion to the right. Handoff up the middle to Jared Bohm. He's to the 30, to the 25, to the 20, to the 15, down to about the 15 yards, down to the 13, but there is a flag behind the play. The initial signal is holding on Fort Morgan.
I tell you, these Denver officials are pretty proud of their flags. They get them out there a lot, which you can't blame them if they're seeing the penalties, but certainly a lot more penalties today than we've seen in the first 4 games.
Yeah. So, timeout, Fort Morgan with a minute 9 left in the first half. Fort Morgan 14, Denver North 6. You're listening to Fort Morgan Mustangs football on B106 and B106.com. Welcome back to All City Stadium in Denver with Kevin Rohde. I'm Brian Nichols. 14-6, Fort Morgan over Denver North with a minute 9 left in the first half. So the first and 12 from the 49-yard line for Fort Morgan. In their flex formation, Martin's under center. Cody Davis in motion to the left. Hand off to the right side. Nate Alexander down to the 35, down to the 30. Inside down to the 27-yard line. So that'll make it second and about 3 for Fort Morgan. Actually, it's about second and 1 for Fort Morgan from the 37-yard line. So with about 40 seconds left in the first half. Fort Morgan handoff up the middle. And they have stopped the play. It looks like they're fumbled, Jared Bone fumbled the ball, and Denver North recovered it at the 25-yard line.
I think that was Toby McBride in for fullback on that play. I think he was the one that fumbled it.
So first and 10 North with 34 seconds left in the first half. First and 10 Denver North from the 25-yard line. So they come out, 2 receivers left, 2 receivers right with single back. Marin in the shotgun formation looking downfield, throws it in off the hands of his receiver at about the 41-yard line. So I'll bring up second and 10 from the 25 for Denver North.
Yeah, it looks like Denver North's going to try maybe a couple pass plays to get downfield. The freshman, Marin, has I mentioned earlier, kind of a unconventional delivery, and it comes up over the top, but he seems to have some accuracy on a lot of them.
Marin in the shotgun formation, looking over the middle to his receiver, wide open over the middle at the 40, 83 down to the 50, 45-40, 35-30. He is third down to the Mustang 27-yard line, first and 10 for Denver North at the 27.
48-yard pass that time to his tight end, 84, Adonis Glover. First catch for Glover.
So they have a timeout on the field. Denver North has called timeout with 16 seconds left in the first half, excuse me. So you're listening to Fort Morgan Mustangs football on B106 and B106.com.
It's like Fort Morgan's almost in a prevent defense. Oh, there's a big hit on the sideline on the receiver 35. Marin got hit right as he released the throw, and that'll bring up second and about 3 from the 21. Denver North up on the line of scrimmage quickly, and time expires. They didn't get a timeout, and that's the end of the half. You're listening to Fort Morgan football on B106 and B106.com.
Welcome back to All City Stadium in Denver. Fort Morgan 14, North 6 at halftime. Fort Morgan will receive the opening kickoff to start the second half and trying to get a drive together, cut down their mistakes, and see if they can put the ball in the end zone, widen this lead over Denver North by at least a touchdown if we could.
They'll have the wind at their back again. Maybe North is choosing to take the win set fourth quarter, so maybe the wind's a little bit stiffer out there, and that's giving the team with the wind an advantage. But I'd say Fort Morgan, like you say, holds their destiny in their own hands. If they can play disciplined ball and not make mistakes, I don't think Denver North can beat them. But as we saw in the second quarter, we saw in some games earlier that Fort Morgan sometimes has that ability to give it away.
There you go. Thanks. So we'll get the second half started off here. Nate Alexander is deep for Fort Morgan. The ball is on the tee and waiting for the okay from the ref. And there we go. So we'll get the kickoff. It is kind of an onside squib kick, and it'll be down, covered by Fort Morgan at the 37-yard line. So it'll be 1st and 10, Fort Morgan from the 37.
Not sure the strategy there, unless, I guess, the strategy is that they watched the tapes and saw that Fort Morgan's Nate Alexander is a great kickoff return man, and made it's better to give him the ball on the 37. And I think they were probably hoping to squeak it through and maybe get a little farther downfield.
So 1st and 10, Fort Morgan from the 37. Come back out in their flex formation, receivers left and right. Jared Bohm is alone back. Nate Alexander in motion to the right. Handoff up the middle to Jared Bohm, and it's a gain of about 2 to the 39. So it'll be 2nd and 7 from the that was called the 40. It'll be 2nd and 7 from the 40.
Going right back to that power running for Fort Morgan, and looked like Martins almost wanted to pull that out and keep it himself.
So Fort Morgan in the flex formation. Martins under center. Hands up the ball up the middle to Jared Bohm, and he gets it out to the 45-yard line. So that's a gain of 5. So it'll be 3rd and 2, Fort Morgan from the 45.
It's interesting. North seems to want to hold him up and let him have a few more yards, so they have the opportunity to try and tear the ball out. They sense that that's what they want to do, is get that ball out, turn over.
So 3rd and 2 from the 45 for Fort Morgan. Coming up to the line of scrimmage in their flex formation. Martins under center, calling out the signals. We have a flag on the play.
Looks like Fort Morgan went in motion and North jumped.
So we'll see if they were drawn off, if North was drawn off, or if it's a 5-yard gain for the dead ball offsides on Denver North. So is enough for the first down. So that'll give the ball, or move the ball to the 50-yard line for Fort Morgan. So it's 1st and 10 from the 50 for Fort Morgan, coming back out in the flex formation. Martins under center. Nate Alexander in motion to the right. Martins is the keeper, and he gets to about probably only a yard gain to the 49. Have a flag on the play.
There was a North defender that had his back turned to Martins, and Martins was running around, and the defender didn't know where to go to try and find the ball.
So another holding call on Fort Morgan.
Well, there's that first mistake of the second half. Fort Morgan has a drive where they're about ready to make their second first down of the drive, and now they have to go back and have second and 18. That's not good.
Second and 18 from the 42. For Fort Morgan, Martins handoff. It's a draw play to Nate Alexander. He gets it only out to about the 44-yard line. It's only a gain of 2, so it'll be 2nd and 16 from the 44 for Fort Morgan.
Yeah, it looked like a good play, but North quickly closed on them and kept them from getting too many yards.
So 9:38 and counting in the third period. Fort Morgan 14, North 6. Second down, Fort Morgan. Cody Davis in motion from left to right. Pass back to Davis. He is down to he gets to about the 50-yard line. We'll call it the 49 of Fort Morgan. So they're almost have the holding yardage back. So it's going to be 3rd and 11 from the 49 for Fort Morgan.
As a quick screen to the Davis, he had 2 blockers, and they both attacked the same defender, and so when Davis went around there were more defenders waiting for him.
3 receivers left. Martins under center. 1 receiver right. Nate Alexander in the backfield, rolling out to his left, and being pursued. He tucks it and runs. He's to the 45, to the 40, to the 35-30, 25-20, 15-10, and down to the 8-yard line for Fort Morgan. And there is a flag on the field.
Way back in the backfield.
So we'll see what they call now. So that was a run of almost 50 yards. Personal foul, face mask on Fort Morgan.
The offensive line, probably.
They call it both ways, offsetting penalties. So it will be 3rd and 11 again for Fort Morgan, offsetting face mask penalties. So it'll be 3rd and 11 for Fort Morgan from their 49-yard line.
I guess Fort Morgan probably got a break there that it was called both ways, and maybe Denver North got a break that was called both ways also. That's the second call by the umpire on personal fouls or types of penalties like that going both ways. He seems to be the one that throws the majority of the flags.
So I don't think I've ever seen personal foul calls on both teams with face masks. Must have had a couple of tough guys in there trying to get at each other, I guess. So it'll be 3rd and 11. Fort Morgan, 3 receivers left. Martin's under center, takes it, throws it out to the left, and it's an incomplete pass. Out in the left.
He was lucky that was ruled incomplete because that was almost parallel to the line of scrimmage and could have been a lateral, and North could have picked up the ball there.
So that brings up 4th and 11, Fort Morgan from the 49. See if Fort Morgan is going to punt, it looks like. Tony Svetzik is in, lining up about the 32-yard line. 2 receivers deep for Denver North. Snap back, kick by Svetzik. Nice kick. Caught at the 17 and then throws back to about the 15-yard line. So they're going to give him forward progress, it looks like, to the 17-yard line. So 8:25 left in the 3rd period. Fort Morgan 14, North 6. You're listening to Fort Morgan Mustangs football on B106 and B106.com. Welcome back to All City Stadium in Denver. North has the ball, 1st and 10. And a quick throw out to the right side. And it is a catch and then drop, was a catch, and then tackled out at the 23-yard line. So that was a gain of about 5. So that'll bring up 2nd and 5 for Denver North at the 23-yard line.
That was that play that I was talking about, with Fort Morgan having the free safety out covering that second inside receiver. Just has room to run.
So 2nd down for Denver North. Handoff to the first back over the left side. And he gets out to the 26-yard line. So that's a gain of 3. So that's going to bring up 3rd and 3 for Denver North at the 26-yard line.
Yeah, that's Ramirez, one of their leading rushers on the year.
So Marin is in the shotgun formation, takes the snap, looks downfield, throws the ball down, and it is hit and knocked to the ground. Incomplete. So that'll bring up 4th down and 3 for Denver North. And it looks like they're bringing their punt unit on the field.
That was a good defensive play. One player tipped it, and then the safety coming up let the receiver know that even if he would have caught it, he would have felt the pain of the Mustangs' defense. A good defensive stand for the first drive for North this half.
So 4th and 3. Punt. And fair caught at the Mustang 48-yard line. So 7:04 left in the 3rd period. Fort Morgan 14, North 6. You're listening to Fort Morgan Mustangs football on B106 and B106.com. Welcome back to All City Stadium in Denver. Fort Morgan 14, North 6 with 7 minutes left in the third period. Fort Morgan football, 1st and 10 from their own 48-yard line. Hand off to Nate Alexander around the left side, but he is dropped for about a 2-yard loss back to the 46-yard line. That'll make a 2nd and 12. Fort Morgan from the 46-yard line.
You know, and sometimes at half, coaches figure out ways to adjust and adapt to certain runs, and it looked like they knew where that one was going and had the defenders there at the right time.
So Fort Morgan up to the line in an I formation, 1 receiver left, 1 receiver right. Martin's under center. Takes the ball, hands off to Nate Alexander over the left side, and he's open to the 45, down to about the 41-yard line. Now we have another flag on the play. So we'll see what that is all about. It was something after the play, I believe. They have enough yardage for a first down if it stands.
Well, you got to give the umpire credit. At least he's out there following the play and in the middle of everything and catching stuff if it is going on.
So they're pointing to Denver North, so I don't know if... So we'll see what they're still talking it over to see what happened. So it's a dead ball foul, personal foul on Denver North. His player has been ejected. So whatever it was quite major for having an ejection. I don't know if he threw a punch or what it was, but that's a 15-yard penalty after the run. So that'll set Fort Morgan up in good field position down at the 26-yard line. So it'll be 1st and 10 Fort Morgan from the 26.
Yeah, you never like to see that, but it's good that the officials are on top of that and they eject players who do obviously, things that they're not supposed to do.
So 6:07 left in the third period. Fort Morgan 14, North 6. And we're waiting for the referee. I guess he's going to go over and talk to Coach Chisholm to let him know what took place. So we'll see if I don't think they would be warning the teams, but maybe just letting them know who was ejected and for what, I guess. So now
there's the player that was ejected leaving the field with the athletic director from Denver North.
So Fort Morgan 1st and 10 from the 26 in the I formation. Hand off to Nate Alexander up the middle. And it's a gain of 4 down to the 22-yard line. So I'll bring up, we'll give it a gain of 5, so we'll make it 2nd and 5 from the 22.
Seems like this half, it's Alexander that's carrying the lion's share of the runs. It's always interesting to see how both coaching staffs adjust at half and start running different things. And now Fort Morgan calling a timeout.
Fort Morgan called the timeout with 5:27 left in the third period. Fort Morgan up 14-6. You're listening to Fort Morgan Mustangs football on B106 and B106.com. Welcome back to All City Stadium in Denver. Fort Morgan 14, North 6 with 5:27 left in the third period. Fort Morgan has the ball 2nd and 5 from the 22, just coming out of a timeout. It's in the I formation, receivers left and right. Martins has it, gives the ball up the middle to Jared Bohm. He gets it down to about the 19-yard line, maybe the 18. We'll call it the 18-yard line. That's a gain of 4, so it'll be 3rd and 2 from the 18.
Nice run there by Bohm. This is the kind of drive that they need, just 4 yards, and obviously not a cloud of dust on the artificial turf of All City Stadium here at the DPS, Denver Public Schools facility.
So 3rd and 2 from from the 18-yard line. Fort Morgan in the I formation. Denver North appears to have jumped again. This is, the third time, I believe, that they've been drawn off sides, and Fort Morgan has benefited for a first down, I believe, every time.
I kind of sense North starting to feel some frustration in the players, and their kids want to do well, and they probably think here comes a school from out in the boonies, and they're just manhandling us up front, and so they're trying to get the jump on that play.
So 1st and 10, Fort Morgan from the 13-yard line in the I formation. Martin's under center, and North has come across the line again, and they keep backing up. So that is another offsides on Denver North. So that'll make it 1st and 5 from the 8-yard line.
Well, the good news, Brian, is if it happens again, they're only going to be penalized for 4 yards because it's half the distance at this point. But, the coaching staff for North has got to be very frustrated that, you basically just gave Fort Morgan 10 yards down from the 18 to the 8 without having to snap the ball.
So 1st and 5 from the 8-yard line. Martin's under center. They are in the I formation. Handoff to Ball. Up the middle. So I don't know. It is a touchdown for Fort Morgan. I believe it was Jared Bohm that carried the ball in. So with 3:57 left in the third period, Fort Morgan 20, North 6 on a Jared Bohm run of 5 yards.
I think as long as Fort Morgan continues not to stop themselves, the game is pretty well in hand at this point, Brian.
So it did Jacob Frick on for the extra point. Martin's waiting for the snap. Snap back, down, up. And it is no good, off to the right side. So with 3:57 left in the third period, Fort Morgan 20, Denver North 6. You're listening to Fort Morgan Mustang football on B106 and B106.com. Back at All City Stadium in Denver, Fort Morgan 20, North 6 with 3:57 left in the third quarter. Fort Morgan just scored to go up by that score, 20-6. Eric Kimball has the ball on the tee, waiting for the signal from the referee, and gets that signal, approaches the ball, and kicks it downfield to Denver North. That's a 15, to the 20, to the 25. Back at All City Stadium in Denver, Fort Morgan lining up for a field goal attempt. 4th down. It is coming from about the 18-yard line, so it'll be a kick of 28 yards. A snap back, ball down, kick up, and it is no good, off to the left side. So Denver North has held Fort Morgan on the drive. So that will bring up 1st and 10, Denver North from the 20.
Yeah, that's really a shame. Fort Morgan getting 10 yards on penalties from Denver North to get down to the 8-yard line, or the 8-yard line, and then not be able to punch it in.
So 1st and 10, Denver North, and I had seen earlier they had a guy warming up for a new quarterback, and I see he is in there, and that is Simeon Freeland, who is at quarterback now for Denver North.
Well, I hope Marin isn't hurt. He seems on the sideline, seems to be fine.
So handoff going to the right side for Denver North, out to about the 24-yard line. So I'll make 2nd and 6 from the 24.
That was just a nice right side power running to kind of keep Fort Morgan's defense honest.
So 10-10 left in the fourth quarter. Fort Morgan up 20-6. 2nd and 6 for Denver North in a tight formation. In the shotgun formation, he takes off running to the left. He is outside to the 25 and down at about the 29, not quite the 30-yard line. I don't believe he quite has the first down yet. We'll see where they mark the ball at. They do give him the first down, so it'll be 1st and 10, Denver North at the 30.
He kind of slid there and almost broke that tackle. Just kind of a different look, almost running the Wildcat now rather than running some sort of conventional offense.
So Denver North up to the line, have one receiver left. Freeland is in the shotgun formation, trying to run it, and he is brought down at the 25, so that's a loss of 5 for Denver North. Brought down in the backfield by Jacob Frick. So it will now be 2nd and 15 for Denver North from the 25.
The PA announcer keeps announcing number 4 as being Elias, who's normally 2, so I don't know if they've got a completely different set of uniforms for this game than who's not on the official sheet that we were given at the gate either.
So 2nd and 15 from the 25 for Denver North in the shotgun formation, looking downfield, and it is going to be knocked down at the 40. Ulysses Hernandez was right there and knocked the ball down for an incomplete pass. So that'll bring up 3rd and 15 from the 25.
And that pass had a chance of being caught, even as both the defender and the receiver fought for it. Just fell to the ground at the very last minute.
So 3rd and 15 for Denver North. 2 receivers left, 2 receivers right. Freeland in the shotgun formation. Gets the ball, looks over to the right, and it is an incomplete pass at the 35-yard line. So that'll bring up 4th and 15 for North.
Excuse me. Well, and here comes Marin back with the trainer, so some ice on his left throwing elbow. Maybe he's going to be done for the game because he's hurt. Looks like he's not happy with the trainer saying that he's done. We always had the rule when I coached, once you put the ice on it, you're done for the game. So if it hurts bad enough that you need ice, then you don't want to take the ice.
So in the punt formation, North punts it, and it is caught at the 45 by Ulysses Hernandez. He's to the 40, to the 50, and down to the 44-yard line of Denver North. So it'll be 1st and 10, Fort Morgan from the 44-yard line.
Nice little return by Hernandez. He's kind of scat back and dodges in and out of the traffic.
So 1st and 10, Fort Morgan from the 44-yard line of Denver North, leading 20-6 with 8:04 left in the 4th period. So Fort Morgan in the I formation. Cody Davis right, Ulysses Hernandez left as receivers. Martins takes the handoff and gives it to Nate Alexander. He's down to the 40. He is down to forward progress, I believe, down to just inside the 36-yard line for Denver North. So they are marking it, yes, at the 36. So that'll bring up 2nd and 3 from the 36.
Nice little run. And again, positive yardage and brings up a manageable 2nd and 2. Running the clock down to 7.5 minutes. Fort Morgan seems to be in autopilot at this point.
So then the I formation, receivers left and right. This time Cody Davis to the left. Nate Alexander is the deep back. And Martins is the keeper, and it's down to the 30, down to the 25, down to the 20. And he is brought down at the 17-yard line.
Nice run there. Denver North packing in 8, 9, 10 players between the ends trying to just stop that inside run. And that time they faked the inside, and he just kind of curled around the defensive end that had boxed in and got outside for a nice run.
So 1st and 10, Fort Morgan from the 17-yard line. 6:43 and counting in the 4th period. Fort Morgan 20, North 6. In the I formation, Cody Davis left. Ulysses Hernandez split wide right. Handoff to the left to Nate Alexander, and he is down inside the 15 and down to, we'll call it the 12-yard line. So that's a gain of 5, so it'll be 2nd and 5 from the 12.
His 15th carry of the day. It's almost ready to catch up with Bohm, who has 20 or who has 17.
So Fort Morgan on a nice drive here to hopefully put the finishing touches on Denver North. So 2nd and 5 from the 12 in the I formation. Nate Alexander hand off is a keeper, to Martins keeps it, and he is down to the 2-yard line. So it is a first down for Fort Morgan at the 2-yard line. So you had a nice gain there of 10 yards.
Yeah, Martin's running tough today. His last 3 carries, 19, and 10 yards. That time again, faking inside Bohm. And North really has no choice other than to pile everybody in on Bohm, because otherwise he's going to go. And Martins just pulls it out and runs nicely.
Martins is a keeper at the 2, and he looks like he is. They're still, yes, they have to get an end of the touchdown. James Martin scored the Fort Morgan touchdown from 2 yards out. That makes it 26-6. Fort Morgan with 5:21 left in the game.
Fort Morgan spreading the joy out. We have the one run by Davis for 58 yards for a touchdown, a 5-yard run by Alexander for a touchdown. Martins gets a 2-yard run, and Bohm had the 8-yard run. So 4 players finding pay dirt for the Mustangs.
So Jacob Frick lined up for the extra point. Snap, ball down, and it was good. Just about 2 feet over the crossbar, but anything counts if it goes through. So that makes it 27-6. Fort Morgan with 5:21 left in the game. You're listening to Fort Morgan Mustangs football on B106 and B106.com. Welcome back to All City Stadium in Denver, where Fort Morgan has just scored and gone up 27-6 with 5:21 left in the game. James Martin scored on a 2-yard run. Then Jacob Frick added the extra point. Eric Kimball has the ball on the tee, waiting for the signal from the ref, and there it is. Kimball up to the ball. Kind of a low-line drive, hits at the 15, picked up at the 10, back out to the 15, to the 20, 25, 30, and down at the 33-yard line. So it'll be 1st and 10, Denver North at the 33.
Well, it's a good sign when the Fort Morgan coaches up in the press box are leaving. That means they feel like it's in hand. At 27-6 with 5 minutes left, I think that Fort Morgan should be able to start enjoying this victory. I'd like to see them finish out strong and not make mistakes and let North get a cheap touchdown here, though.
So 1st and 10 for Denver North. Simeon Freeland still in at quarterback. So 2 receivers right, 2 receivers left. Snap back, and he is running to the right out to the 45. Or excuse me, to the 35, not to the 40. So that was a gain. That was a gain of about, we'll call it 6. So it'll be 2nd and 4 from the 40-yard line.
You know, when you have a freshman quarterback who goes out of the game hurt, it really affects what kind of offense you can run. And, you know, Freeland coming in and doing a good job of trying.
So for Denver North on 2nd down, snap back to Freeland. Pass out to the right, incomplete. So that brings up 3rd and 4 from the 40-yard line for Denver North.
You know, that's Freeland's 3rd attempt at passing since he took over for Marin, and And unfortunately, he doesn't have the arm that Marin did, and that time it was a bounce pass about 10 yards short of his mark.
So North in the tight formation, and ball will take down, and he looks like he will get the first down. He is marked out. Let's see where they're marking him out at. I think I spoke too soon. Looks like he stepped out. Okay, they're giving him the first down at the 44. So now I guess he didn't make it. Now they're going to call it fourth down and short.
Yeah, they only gave him to the 43.
So it's fourth down, about not quite the 44-yard line. They're not. So it is fourth and now they're calling the timeout. Denver North has called timeout. 4:20 left in the game. Fort Morgan 27-6. You're listening to Fort Morgan Mustangs football on B106 and B106.com. So on fourth and short, Denver North takes the handoff and goes down to the Fort Morgan lane for the first down. So it'll be first and 10, Denver North at the 44. Denver North in the I formation and running off to the right side is the quarterback, Freeland. He runs out of bounds at the 41-yard line, so that'll be a gain of 3. So it'll be second and 7 from the 41.
And he keeps running out of bounds, which stops that clock, which helps North.
So second and 7 from the 40 for the Vikings. 3:48 left in the game. Fort Morgan 27, North 6. Freeland in the shot formation. 2 receivers left, 2 receivers right. Gets the snap, looks downfield, throws it, and it is an incomplete at the 30-yard line. That'll bring up third and 7 from the 41.
Again, it was short. That time the receiver had a chance to pick it up off the turf, but didn't get to it in time.
So we're third and 7 from the 41 for Denver North. And Santiago Marin is back in the game. He sends his 2 receivers to the left. High backfield, keeps it and looks downfield and throws it out to the left. It's caught at the 35, down to the 30, down to the 25, and down to the 23-yard line. That's a first and 10 for Denver North at the 23.
That was a nice catch by Glover, and nice gain of 18 yards, his second catch of the night for Denver North.
So first and 10 from the 23 for Denver North. 2 receivers right. High backfield, takes the ball and is looking out to the left. And it is intercepted at the 10-yard line. And Santiago Marin was hit hard just about the time he released the ball, and it was a floater and intercepted at the 12-yard line for Fort Morgan.
Yeah, it's good to see that, him make a brave return and try and make the effort, but Fort Morgan is back playing deep and had two defenders near the receiver, and the ball was up kind of like a wounded duck, and they were able to get a hold of it. That should certainly seal the deal with 3 minutes left.
Joey Snyder has now come in at quarterback for the Mustangs. 3:14 left in the game, 27-6 Fort Morgan. First and 10 from the 12 for Fort Morgan. Snyder takes a handoff to the right side, hands it off to Oreo Conis out to the 22-yard line. So it should be enough for a first down. So that was a nice run of 10 for O'Connor out to the 22.
his first carry of the season, I believe. Definitely of this game.
So Fort Morgan, 1st and 10 from the 22. Toby McBride is in it back with Aredo Canas. Hands off to McBride up the middle, and he is across the 25. Out to about the 28. Let's see, where they're about the 28-yard line. So it'll be 2nd and 5 for Fort Morgan from the 28-yard line. We have a timeout on the field. Denver North has a player down on the field. So with 2:40 left in the game, Fort Morgan 27, North 6. You're listening to Fort Morgan Mustangs football on B106 and B106.com. Back at All City Stadium in Denver, Fort Morgan 27, Denver North 6 with 2:40 left in the game. We still have a timeout on the field. One of the Denver North players is still down on the field at about the 24-yard line. They seem to be checking his knee to see where the problem is. They're helping him up now. He seems to be coming off on his own. Had a little limp there to start with, but he is up and off the field, and that's a good sign for him.
You never like to see anyone get hurt, that's for sure.
So 2nd and 5 from the 28 for Fort Morgan in the I formation, receivers left and right. Joey Schneider in at quarterback. Hands off to Toby McBride up the middle. And he is out to the 35-yard line, and that is enough for a Fort Morgan first down. So it'll be 1st and 10 Fort Morgan from the 35.
It's nice to see the freshmen running hard. Maybe it's time for us to start talking about next week. Inglewood coming off of a difficult 58-8 loss to Pueblo County. Will be coming to Fort Morgan for homecoming next week.
Fort Morgan in the I formation, receivers left and right. 1st and 10 from the 35. Joey Schneider in a quarterback. Like a missed handoff, and he is running. Oh no, it is fumbled. And they're still fighting for it. We'll see who ends up with it. The ball came loose and was chased back, cleared it out to the 23-yard line. And it looks like Denver North has recovered it, so it'll be 1st and 10 Denver North from the 23.
That gives Denver North one more chance to build something positive out of this game. You know, unfortunately for Fort Morgan, you put in the younger kids, and sometimes they're not up to varsity speed, and he was kind of running around, like you said, on a broken play, didn't know what to do with the ball, and the defender came up and just tore it right out of his hands. So 1st and 10 for Denver North at the 23 in the shotgun formation. Takes a handoff and then a reverse back to the right. And it's open down to the 20, down to the 15, to the 10, to the 5. And he is run out of bounds. It looks like at the 4-yard line for Denver North. Nice scamper for Freeland. That's his 9th carry of the game. You know, only 18 carries or runs for Denver North the entire ball game.
So 1st and goal for Denver North at the 4. Marin under center with a full house backfield, one receiver left. We have a stoppage in play. Denver North is called.
I think the clock was running, and he'd run out of bounds, so they weren't supposed to have started the clock. So I guess they're going to probably ask for some time to be put back on the clock.
Coach says there should be 1:30 left on the clock, and that's what they have reset it to.
You know, even in a game that's 27-6, you want to give these kids every chance to play a full game. So Coach was right in going out there and straightening that out.
So 1st and goal from the 4 for Denver North. In the power formation, Marin under center, hands off up the middle, and he is met and gets down to about the 3-yard line. So timeout, Denver North.
Just 1 yard for Ramirez on that.
So it'll be second and goal from the 3. Digi T-Quest, leather jackets, T-shirts, and more. Stop by 302 Main Street in Fort Morgan for all your sports apparel. Northern Colorado Title. You don't have to close on your house alone. Northern Colorado Title at 130 West Kiowa in Fort Morgan will provide you with a stress-free closing. Morgan Federal Bank, keeping community banking simple and committed to their community. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Stubbs Gas and Oil. Stubbs Gas and Oil is located at I-76 and Highway 39 in Wiggins. Don't delay and get there today to see why convenience is Stubbs' middle name. So we have second and goal from the 3 for North. Marin under center, takes it hands off to number 30, and he is powering, and he is down to the goal line. They're calling him just short, so it's going to be third and about a foot from inside the 1 yard line.
That was close. Clock's running now at 1 minute.
So Denver North up to the line, trying to punch this in for one more score. Marin under center takes a handoff and gives it to number 30. And he is into the end zone for a North touchdown. So that makes the score 27-12 with 48 seconds left in the game.
That gives North a little bit to build on for next week and really doesn't take anything away from Fort Morgan's victory, because I'm sure a lot of the kids out there playing are JV and just trying to get some experience at the varsity level.
So Denver North lining up for a 2-point conversion. Snap back to Marin, and he is looking to throw it in. It is incomplete. So that keeps the score Fort Morgan 27, North 12 with 48 seconds left in the game. You are listening to Fort Morgan Mustangs football on B106 and B106.com. Back at All City Stadium in Denver, Fort Morgan 27, Denver North 12 with 48.4 seconds left in the game. Denver North just scored on a 1 yard run by Daniel Ramirez. So Denver North will line up for the kick. I will presume it would be an onside kick of some type. Waiting for the signal from the referee, and there it is. So we'll see what kind of a kickoff we have. It is an onside kick. Ulysses Hernandez grabs it, and he is down at the 43. So that is a first down. It'll be 1st and 10, Fort Morgan from the 43. So about 2 snaps of the ball now. They should be able to run this clock out and go home victorious.
Absolutely. Not a very good job of executing the onside kick. He kicked it not the right angle, and it crossed the line of scrimmage, or crossed the 10-yard mark, and bounced well into Fort Morgan's area. And Fort Morgan, having the hands team out there, was able to recover it with no problem. There was no contact. Wasn't even really close.
So Fort Morgan up to the line. They will be in there. Willie Martins is back in at quarterback, probably to just kneel down on the ball. Takes a knee. So with 37 seconds left in the game, it'll be 2nd and 11 for Fort Morgan from the 42-yard line. So they should one more play, and the game will be over. So Martins leads them up to the line. 15 seconds left in the game. Will take a knee. And that will be the last play of the game. 3 seconds left in the game and counting. And Fort Morgan is victorious over Denver North, 27-12. You've been listening to Fort Morgan Mustangs football on B106 and B106.com. Back at All City Stadium in Denver, Fort Morgan has defeated Denver North 27-12. In the second half, as far as scoring goes, Fort Morgan scored with 3:57 left in the third quarter with a 5-yard run by Jarrett Bohm. And a little later on, James Martin scored on a 2-yard run and made it 27-6. With 5:21 left in the game. And after a Fort Morgan fumble, Denver North got the ball to 23 and scored a touchdown by Ramirez, which brought the final score to 27-12, Fort Morgan. So it was a nice victory for Fort Morgan, headed into homecoming next week. Kevin, do you have some stats? Or?
Absolutely. Again, all credit to the Quickie Stats people down the rail from us in the booth. Fort Morgan ends the night with 51 attempts, or 51, a little bit, 51 rushes for 378 yards. That's not quite right. Anyway, Baum ends the night with 18 rushes for 113 yards. Alexander, 14 runs for 96 yards. Martin's 11 carries for 86. Cody Davis, 3 for 58. Toby McBride ends the night, or the day, with 3 for 15. Ure Ocanis, 1 for 10 yards. And Joey Snyder has 1 for a loss of 12. Let's see, passing Martin's is 4 attempts for 1 completion. That was 5 yards. And he wasn't sacked on the day. Receiving, Cody Davis catches 1 for 5 yards. Punting, Zwetzig averages 34.5 on 2 punts. And returning for the Mustangs, Perez has 1 kickoff return for 24 yards. Hernandez has 1 punt return for 12 yards. And Misael Franco has 1 interception with a 4-yard return. So Fort Morgan ends the game with net yards of passing of 5, net yards rushing of 357. And so total offense for Fort Morgan is 362 yards. They hold Denver North to 221 yards. 143 of that on passing, and only 78 rushing.
Yeah, they couldn't get anything going, that's for sure, on their running plays. Fort Morgan stuffed them up the middle pretty good on the run, and Santiago Marin did a pretty decent job of getting the ball downfield to his open receivers. They just got too far down and couldn't make the comeback that they needed to. So let's take a short break here, and we'll be back to All City Stadium, where you've been listening to Fort Morgan Mustangs football on B106 and B106.com. Welcome back to All City Stadium in Denver, where Fort Morgan has defeated Denver North 27-12. And this Mustangs postgame show is brought to you by High Plains Bank and Wiggins. The friendly staff at High Plains Bank and Wiggins is ready to assist you with a home loan, equity line of credit, commercial loan, or checking account. To receive hometown service on a higher plane, visit High Plains Bank today. So, Kevin, it was a nice victory for Fort Morgan today. Way too many penalties that they're going to have to get corrected before next week, or it'll be a tough game against Englewood.
Right. I think the rest of the season looks good for Fort Morgan if they can play disciplined football and not make mistakes. Collectively, the 5 games that they have left, as of this point, there's only 4 victories for all 5 of those teams, or I guess 5 victories for all 5 of those teams. Next week coming up against Englewood, who's 2-3, but coming off a tough loss to Pueblo County. I just think that Fort Morgan could probably play a little sloppy like they did today and win at least 5 of those 6 games. But when 7 weeks from now they go to that first playoff game, if they haven't fixed these mistakes, if they haven't tightened up the pass defense, if they don't keep from fumbling the ball and getting some penalties, it's going to be a short playoff season for them.
Yeah, it'll be 1-0 if they keep making mistakes like that. I'd like to give a shout-out to the offensive line for these Fort Morgan Mustangs for opening up the holes for these runners to get them the holes and get them down the field to get the first down and get the yardage, keep the drives alive.
Absolutely. The offensive line played well, and the defensive line, front eight, whatever, did a really good job of stopping the run. We're just going to have to figure out some nickel coverage against passing teams.
So next week is homecoming with Englewood, 7 o'clock. So join us then. Hopefully it'll be a happy homecoming for Fort Morgan. It was a happy day today for the nice victory over Denver North, 27-12. So the sound engineer and producer of Fort Morgan Mustangs football has been Braden Godin. For Kevin Rohde, I'm Brian Nickel. The final score again this afternoon was Fort Morgan 27, Denver North 12. You've been listening to Fort Morgan Mustangs football on B106 and B106.com. Good afternoon, everyone.